A lot of people long for a white Christmas, and this wish was expressed so well by Bing Crosby in the song White Christmas that it is regarded as the best-selling single of all time. And today we want to see if this position also holds true for chart success. We have data from the great website tsort.info starting in the year 1900, and we present the top 5 of each decade, but starting in the 1930s because the earlier songs are not so well known anymore, and there were no hits that had greater chart success than Judy Garland's Over the Rainbow in 1939. So she tops the top 5 at this stage. It's known for The Wizard of Oz, and Judy Garland is also a mother of Liza Minnelli. And we go to the 40s, and here we have Bing Crosby's White Christmas at the top of the 1940s on the left panel, and also taking over the top of the total top 5 since 1900 and overtaking Judy Garland by a large distance in terms of chart success. Bing Crosby had 2 more hits in the top 5 of the 1940s, as you can see in the left panel. Yeah, and then we go to the 50s, and now we want to see which songs can challenge White Christmas in later decades. So in the 50s we have the next top hit, Rock Around the Clock, Bill Haley and his Comets, winning the 1950s evaluation by a large distance, ahead of Mac the Knife and then Elvis Presley at number 3, Jailhouse Rock. And we see the top 5 since 1900 in the right panel. Bill Haley and Rock Around the Clock makes it to number 2. Mac the Knife also in the top 5, and then Judy Garland still at number 4. So now the 1960s, not very surprisingly, dominated by the Beatles. Hey Jude at number 1 in the 60s in the left panel, and I Want to Hold Your Hand at number 3, and in between these two songs, the Stones' Satisfaction. And these 3 also make the total top 5 in the right panel, but in the positions 3 to 5. So White Christmas stays at the top ahead of Rock Around the Clock. Now on to the 70s. Bee Gees, most successful single of the 70s, staying alive ahead of the Beatles. Although they split up in 1970, they still make number 2 of the 70s with Let It Be. And then ex-Beatle George Harrison at number 3, My Sweet Lord, ahead of Abba and John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. So the total top 5 remain unchanged in the right panel, so no song of the 1970s makes the total top 5. On to the 80s. Here we have Flashdance, What a Feeling at number 1, ahead of Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. And these two in the left panel also make the total top 5 in the right panel, but at positions 4 and 5. So the top 3 remain unchanged. The Beatles stay at number 3, and White Christmas is still top ahead of Rock Around the Clock. And now finally for the year 1999. The 90s are topped by Bryan Adams' Everything I Do It For You, ahead of Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On. And these two also make the total top 5. As you can see in the right panel, Bryan Adams jumps to number 2, overtakes Rock Around the Clock, but still stays behind White Christmas. And Celine Dion makes number 4, ahead of the Beatles, who dropped to number 5, Hey Jude. Also notable for the 90s, Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You, Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You, and Elton John, Candle in the Wind. We stop it here because tsort.info says that the scoring system works best for charts before the year 2000. There's also newer data, and the top 5 don't change, but it's questionable how comparable these scores are.